Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Connect Ellie. And again, it's a pleasure and honor to have with me Mayor Steve Manos, a good friend of mine, a good advocate of the city, and also a great leader. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Giovanni. That's very kind of you to say.
No, it's, actions speak louder than words, and we get a lot of comments as the PIO of the communication aspect, the lives, the Connect LE. This is great because you keep them informed, but at the same time, you're very vocal with them because you're not just replying, you're educating, if you will.
Right. We try to go ahead and provide as much information as we possibly can to the people of Lake Elsinore, as it builds trust when you're able to talk about issues offhand, off the cuff, sometimes in a interpersonal comment sort of way. I mean, you had Roosevelt that did the fireside chats once upon a time, and I think that was a breakthrough in terms of communication. I think this is a lot the same. We get an opportunity to talk about different subjects that people might be interested in, and do so in a way that where we answer questions that are often being asked either online or through emails, or sometimes just at the grocery store. So it's fun. I love doing it, and it's a great experience.
And that brings us up to the topic, information, the state of the city. State of the city is a big, important event for the mayorship, especially because you report on not only the success of the city, but also what's coming forward and what you've accomplished during your mayorship. And a lot of people have to understand that the mayorship here in Elsinore is a rotational one.
Right.
So whatever you start, doesn't finish there. It actually completes because you're always observing what's going on, even though if you're not in the mayor. Take us through the state of the city, how important this is, Steve, and how many times have you done it?
This will be my third time, and it's a big production, really. Big speech, lots of film and audio. We have a number of people who are working really hard. We're in the dead middle of planning both the speech as well as some of the visuals. And it's an opportunity to really showcase the city, right? I try not to make it about me, as a matter of fact. You've been in the meetings, You know how often I'm like, this is not about me. This is about people that are in the city. It's about the people, or recognizing certain individuals that have been outstanding. We're talking about how hard staff's been working to make the city a wonderful place, for the progress that the city's making. And sometimes it's not just the city government. Sometimes we're celebrating what private residents and citizens and businesses are doing, because it all plays a part. It's a very, very important process. It all comes together. So I'm excited about it. The first time, I think we made it about home. And the second time, it was a wild and crazy sort of, I'm jumping out of airplanes, kind of showcasing the city that way. And this time we're going to just be talking about how the people here work, and they work hard. And that is the city government, that is the residents, that is the leaders, and everybody in between.
So there's people that don't think you jumped out of a plane, but
really?
Yes.
I can assure you. As a matter of fact, John from our production studio was on the plane with me, and it was a surreal sort of. First off, I'm scared to death of heights. So
I didn't know that.
People should know that. I'm only 5'7", so I get at around 6 foot eye level, and I get very worried. But basically, no, it's not that bad. But the thought of jumping out of an airplane had never really appealed to me. And a friend of mine and the skydive. The real problem is that I had promoted an event that happened over at Paris Skydive. It was a cancer awareness thing, pancreatic cancer awareness. It was for a very good friend whose father had passed from pancreatic cancer. I didn't jump out of the plane there, but I did highlight that on social media. That sparked outrage from our local skydive. And then they reached out to a good friend of mine, who then in turn guilted me into doing it, basically. So they set up a real first class sort of situation. But I got to tell you, man, I was
How do you prepare for something like that? Because I would not do it, guys.
There was a lot of crying involved. No. You know, you show up to the facility, and I had the good fortune to have the folks that run the facility tour me, kind of showed me everything that you kind of go through and what happens, and educating yourself about it makes it a little less scary. You know, and from there you just, you know, if you're on camera, it's a little different too. And you know, you're going to be seen by a lot of people. So you have to kind of buck up a little bit, you know, there's no chickening out, but the hardest part was delivering the lines just before you jumped out of the plane. You had 2 cameras, one guy hanging out the door of the airplane, absolutely surreal. And then another guy that's in, this is John, and I have to look at the camera, 2 different cameras and deliver this line. I'm all, we might just surprise you. We might just surprise you, dump. You know, I mean, it's just black out for a second. And then once you regain your faculties, then you're enjoying it. And I got to tell you, I think everybody should try it once. And I think there's a lot of people out there who think that I'm crazy. And believe me, it is crazy. But it was absolutely beautiful. And you could see the ocean and you could see the horizon. And it was just, it's not like anything else you'll ever try. And it doesn't feel like you're falling. That's the other crazy part. It just feels like the wind's blowing really hard at your face while the ground's jumping up at you.
Wow.
So yeah. So there was it was a pretty cathartic thing, and got to the ground and was very, very pleased to be alive.
And that's really cool. But this is what you mean about the production aspect.
Right.
It's not. And people have to understand
I'm not doing that again. It's not happening.
You sure, Steve?
I'm positive. And anybody can call me chicken or make all the clucking noises. I'll start joining you. It doesn't matter. This is not happening again. It was a one-time thing. I did it for the people of Lake Elsinore.
Oh, we got to get Jason maybe to do it. You know, that would be. Or one of the other council members, you know?
Well, you know, like I said, everybody should try it once.
Right?
I tried talking Natasha into it, and she's like, no way, that's a you thing. So, yeah.
Well, no, and this brings us to that point that, you know, it's a production.
Right.
But people have to understand that when we call this a production, it's also important to highlight the city, to highlight the anchors of the city, you know, what drives people here economically and for fun and for everything.
So my goal is, especially with the video production, because the video, nobody's going to watch the speech, right? Unless I do a really good job on the speech, nobody's going to watch the speech ever again, but they will watch the video productions. So what I really want is video productions that are almost like commercials for the city. Mm-hmm. You get more and more views that way. So it's got to be good music. It's got to be high energy. It's going to be relatively short. It's going to convey a message or a story or whatnot. I'm going to mention John again, because him and I, even before I was elected, had done some fun stuff together in terms of making little mini movies or things of that nature. And please don't look those up. But but there are little contests to go ahead and force people to get creative, write a story in a movie and film it, edit it, and all in 48 hours. And you don't know what the whole thing. And so anyways, point is I know his talent level, and I know what he's capable of. He's already put together tons of great stuff for us. So I have full confidence that this one's going to outdo the last thing, because that's just the way he is.
What can we expect this year from your State of the City? What are we looking forward to?
Well, you know, we're going to be talking a lot about the progress, stability, the things that are on the horizon, the wins that we've had this year. Certainly, we've talked in past podcasts about the infrastructure improvements, the fact that we have a balanced budget, the fact that we've added to our police staff, the fact that we've added to our firefighter forces. We've got more services that are being administered to things like homelessness. Mm-hmm. Lake water quality is going to be a big thing, you know, because that's been the big initiative this year, has been the lake water quality and the nano bubbler and the way that the council is attacking that right now. So, you know, the beautification around the city, you know, there's some beautiful things that are happening all around Lake Elsinore. And so for me, I feel like it's kind of easy because I just got to point to the things that have already happened and some of the new things that are, you know, on the horizon, like the amphitheater. We're going to have great visuals that people are going to be able to see and just kind of ooh and ah over. It's very different than many other cities that, are either stagnant or, looking for a story to tell. We're in the middle of it. We are doing phenomenal things right now.
And the best thing is that the city has so much to talk about every year because we continue being a growing city,
Right.
A thriving city for that matter. But you've been a big advocate of making sure that the lake is clean ever since I've met you, at least even before I was working for the city and the reporter. You've always been a big supporter of fixing the lake because it means a lot to you. You grew up here.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I can remember every summer the lake would get so bad that we'd have massive fish kills, right? And at that time, there was kind of some finger pointing about who would manage the lake. So every year, right around September, we'd have a massive fish kill, and nobody would clear the fish out. So they would just kind of die and then sink into the lake and stink the entire town up. If you want to know lake smell some more, where that comes from, it was during that time period. And boy, did the city earn it. It smelled like a dump here for like a whole 30 days to 45 days. You could smell it from city across the city, from all over the place.
Oh, wow.
You couldn't escape it. It was terrible for quality of life. Absolutely horrible. And my predecessors, we didn't fix that. That lake management was fixed before I even came on board. We enhanced it since I've been on board. And that's a credit to our previous city manager, our current city manager. We have Lake Watch. We make very, very good decisions when it comes to the ecology and lake management. We're very careful about the new things that we're doing to the lake, and it's working. If you go out there right now, you can see into the lake, and you can see in some areas the lake bottom. You couldn't say that a year ago. You just couldn't.
No, and then also for those that always ask about state of the city, it's publicly aired on our social media platforms.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And anybody can log on and check out the state of the city, the message, the videos, and then obviously we do share it afterwards. But yeah, that invitation, Mayor, for
absolutely. And folks should definitely either get out there in person if they can. We're going to have a small number of tickets that we're going to raffle off at no cost for people that would like to join us. Maybe can't afford the high price of I think it's $100 for a ticket to attend. It's going to be TED Talk style. So it's going to be a lot of me with visuals and graphics behind me. I'm going to try to make it funny, which probably means that it won't be.
No, I'm sure it will.
I'm going to apologize for that up front. No, we're going to try to make it entertaining. We really want to celebrate the city and its residents and all the things that are making the city a better place to live.
And, when we talk about the state of the city, we obviously have been to several of our visiting cities. Everybody seems to do it different.
Right.
And everybody seems to kind of want to up one on the other cities.
I ain't seen nobody jump out of a plane yet.
No,
I'm just saying. I saw a Tinkerbell sort of act that happened, and that got close because it was on a high wire sort of thing within over at Pachanga. I saw that Temecula for Marianne Edwards. She did a Tinkerbell thing. But the bottom line is they did not jump out of a plane. So no. I put my life on the line for the people. I'm just saying.
How many feet up there was that? That's
the Tinkerbell or the skydiving.
Yeah.
It was I think they said it was 9,000 feet in the air, something like. Was it higher? 10, 12? I don't know. Higher. Okay, it was really higher up there. I don't know. I was remembering my lines.
I don't know how you didn't pass out. I would have blacked out.
No, I handle pressure pretty well. That's something that I've always been told. Like I handle pressure differently than everybody else. So even my friend who went with us, who talked me into going, who's had thousands of jumps, he was actually really surprised because he was trying to rattle me. He was trying to, kind of, razz me a little bit on the way up. And he said, you were so calm, it was a little scary.
Wow.
And it was just,
So you saw the cars, teeny weeny little cars.
I was actually just kind of enjoying the experience because I knew it was going to be kind of a one-time thing. I was looking out the window. I was seeing how far up we were and how small the little cars had gotten. Yeah. and then the sounds. And the temperature change. That's something else that I remember going from inside the cabin to outside the cabin. So that was, anyways, point is, yes, every city does compete in terms of trying to go ahead and one-up one another. And it makes it harder and harder every year, even amongst our own council. we try to go ahead and and it's a friendly competition. You think about that, it makes the show get better and better and better and even more important. So, but I do also like to, and at least in mine, I like to kind of pull back and incorporate and remember that there's some ceremony involved, right? Like there's a seriousness to it too. We are delivering the update for the city to the people to judge us on what we've done. So there's going to be some basic elements to that, like budget. You know, you're going to get budget numbers. It's hard to make that funny, you know, unless you're doing a really bad job, which we're not. You know, that'll be a small part of our presentation. Infrastructure, you know, hard to make that funny, but certainly is important, right? When we start talking about the improvements we're making to downtown Main Street to go ahead, increase the interconnectivity between City Hall and some of our emergency facilities throughout the city, you know, that's not funny, right? But it's important, and people should know that it's happening and that we're even thinking about that, because that's not exactly something that shows up on a survey as to what do people want to see in Lake Elsinore.
That's very true. And then it's a sense of pride too. When you show a resident what's happening in the city they live in the city their children are growing up in, you know, like we said, we're highlighting the great, you know, the nano bubbler, you know, the lake program we actively have, the programs, the special events, the new developments downtown. I mean, boy, this year you have a lot to really talk about.
Oh, absolutely. We've been. You got City Hall. You got the new library that's going to be breaking ground in the not too distant future. You have a new concept amphitheater. You have the Main Street updates that are going to. Some of it we haven't even approved yet, but the stuff that we're cooking up is absolutely phenomenal. When you start talking about things like Lake Street, got a portion of it got widened. Most people don't know that there's a second part of that process that's coming that we're working through, because it was supposed to be a complete slurry seal so that everything was cosmetically the same, but we're finding out that we need like a grind and overlay for that particular part of the road in order to make it good. And what I mean by good is we don't want to just plaster over things and call it good. We want it to be good so that it lasts forever, and then we can manage things from there. Yeah, I mean, I can go into a lot of different concepts, and we're thinking ahead and thinking about people and trying to address their concerns as they've had them. It takes time, though. It takes time.
Your theme, Ellie at Work.
Yes.
It fits perfectly then. It fits perfectly now, because we continue working towards success, towards the destination,
and that's not just like the government, right? Because we have business owners that are opening businesses here. Like we got the new restaurant downtown, the Rendezvous, which I'm really excited. We have the grand reopening for Golden Corral that just happened, which if you haven't been to Golden Corral since they closed, you know that it was in pretty bad shape when they closed. They've complete new ownership. They've dumped a ton of new money in there. The food was really, really good. And so that's exciting. There's folks that are opening in the outlet center right now. We got
that's true, yeah.
Las Tapsi House is the name of it, and that is
Vietnamese.
It's Filipino fusion. Filipino fusion. That food was good, and so we have some new choices that are coming. I got a Filipino bakery that's coming up. They're trying to get open by next month. They're waiting for their final inspections. That's hugely exciting. And so there's tons. There's a lot of things to talk about that I don't think get the highlights that they do, because, maybe everybody's waiting for that Trader Joe's to go ahead and land. Man, if I get Trader Joe's to here, man, I don't know what people are going to have to complain about.
Right.
So we're going to have to find something new. I don't know what to do after that.
And so people understand at home and who's watching, how do you determine what you want to showcase? Because you have a lot of great things, but everything is important. But how do you manage that as the mayor and determine, okay, this is what I want my constituents to know?
Right. So usually it's whatever's new. That's number one. But largely what we do is we take everything and we compile this huge list, and we basically write a 2-hour show. And then you take that 2-hour show and you say, all right, well, we really don't need to talk about this too much. So maybe we either cut it down or cut it out altogether. And that's how you whittle it down. You try to get it down to like 45 minutes if you can. I would love to do a 15-minute show and just, let everybody, off early. And I think I would get a standing ovation from the crowd, but like, hey, everybody, just here's some extra drink tickets, go enjoy yourself. And man, that'd be great. But no, it's impossible to do. There's so much, know.
And Mayor, the people that attend, now that's important. We get developers. We get, potential. We'll have probably our congressmen, both state representatives, are all of our county, like 2 county supervisors for sure will show up, and then all the council members, mayors for the region, because they're also very supportive. Plus, they want to see if I jump out of a plane again. Right, and not just that, but to your point, Mayor, when you have other entities or municipalities and their leaders come, that shows that we're obviously doing something.
Right. Right.
I mean, and not only because you're friends with them, but we also have collaborating, partnerships with them.
Yeah. Well, it's a small club, right? You get a handful of people that represent people at this level. And so in addition to the service here within the city and watching the city, a lot of us also serve on regional boards where we collaborate and will connect with other elected officials from other cities, also the county, sometimes other counties. I'm on an organization called Southern California Association of Governments. Mayor Garcetti was a member of that board. So, we were dealing with folks from LA, and it's, pretty much the entire Southern California region where we're talking about joint issues, regional transportation, and how do we go ahead and get people out of their cars so that they're in more walkable communities, or that they work a little closer to home, which would be nice. How do we fix some of the housing problems that we have in these areas, or the homeless problems? How do we do that with fairness involved and being fair about the way that funds are allocated to regions that need it the most, maybe some that historically hadn't had funding sent to that particular organization or that area. And this whole area has a very interesting past. So, all of these things are important and certainly are important sometimes to other people more so than maybe they're important here. And you learn things. You learn things about other places, and they learn things about our place. Like, what works over there doesn't work here. We're in a different stage of our life cycle. So maybe we're not thinking about redevelopment. Maybe we're just thinking about filling the empty lots on our main street, right? I mean, like Los Angeles probably wishes they had that problem. There's other cities that probably wish that they could have that opportunity again. And we're just like, hey man, let's find some quality hotelier or restaurant or shopping opportunity that's going to really make this area pop. But it's interesting. It's an interesting job.
What I've noticed these last few years I've been here with the city is when you get these big developers that you meet at ICSC.
Yes.
And they come here, and you see one thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. When you're at this convention, at this big shopping mall convention, right, or shopping center convention. One thing is you interact with them and you talk about and you sell this city.
Right.
But another thing is for them to come here and see for themselves what's being done.
Yeah.
How
that production is very similar to like a State of the City.
Okay.
It's showtime, sort of thing. So beforehand, we're preparing and we're putting together, what we need to put together in order to put our best foot forward. Right. That's number one. And that includes materials and marketing and all sorts of things. And then we're all collaborating on how we're going to attack this very large event. And there's lots of people to meet with. So you can't meet with everybody. So you're prioritizing it, just like you're talking about the speech. You got to prioritize. And then there's the follow-up. And then so you have staff who are often very active in terms of bringing the people from the show to our city so that way they can get them out and see our opportunities look at the lake. We're able to bring attention to the city. Whereas I can tell you, the first year I went, I'd say, "Oh, hi, I'm Steve Manos, council member for the city of Lake Elsinore," and they'd go, "Where's Lake Elsinore? Which state is that in?" And you're like, "Whoa, okay, you represent our region, and you don't know what state we are in? We got some work to do. Let me tell you about this great city." And then you tell them about it, and then you see them again next year. They're like, "Whoa, Steve, Lake Elsinore. Hey, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Hey, how are you doing?" Well, all right. Well, did you get out to see the city? Yeah, I did. Beautiful area. You guys don't make enough money. Okay, we're going to fix that, sort of thing. And how do you fix that? Well, new development, right? Somebody's buying a $600,000 house. They're probably earning more than the median income is out here. So you're importing people in from other areas with higher incomes. That changes your demographic mix. And suddenly, hey, Steve, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Hey, median household income went up. You interested now? Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, you have all the other issues that we were looking at. You have all the other needs that we're looking for, but we have like 5 other openings that are happening. So probably next year. And you keep talking, but the interest is sparked. Hey, let me go ahead and introduce you to this landowner. They're looking at building this, and I think it would be a good fit for you guys. And then they get together. Next year, they go ahead and come for entitlements. Next year after that, they're building. Next year after that, they're doing their grand opening. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of handshakes. Sometimes it doesn't come off that easily, but when it does, it's a beautiful thing. We've seen a lot of it.
And the great part about the state of the city too is you get to see the partnerships that we've developed as an entity with the school district, with a police, fire. Tell us a little bit about how important that is.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have the support of the people that you're supporting. So yeah, you mentioned some of those water district guys are always there. Water district guys are very important in terms of development. If you don't have water and sewer, you have no development, right? So for them to come in and see what's happening in the city and to see how much, not just maybe a leader like myself wants to see that type of development, but the people that I represent, I'm their voice, let me tell you what they want. And so sometimes that impacts individuals in their decision-making process. When you're talking about, say, like Congressman Calvert, and we talk about some of the challenges that we've had in the region and whatnot. And Congressman Calvert responds this year, I think to the tune of like $8 or $9 million in federal funding, right, for programs like, our homeless and helping us go ahead and get other things funded, the water quality projects funded, the new nano bubblers that'll be coming in, which will hopefully be both online by the state of the city. I know one of them will probably be done, but the other one might not be because of we need to pull in more electrical. You can't plug them in to your wall socket and work them. They require a little more amperage than that. So we have some work to do as far as bringing that out and doing that in an area of the lake that's not already being treated. So that's huge. That collaboration, cooperation with people like our congressman, people like our state assembly member Billy Asali, who has been an advocate and certainly provides great service to the residents of our region. Former prosecutor, very concerned about law enforcement, big backer of one of the new bills that are going to be coming up here, Prop 36, which would amend Prop 47. And then Kelly Ciarto, former firefighter, also very concerned about public safety, does a phenomenal job, used to represent Marietta as their mayor. That guy, he's phenomenal. I actually saw him save a human life on the streets of Lake Elsinore one time in the middle of an event. Somebody collapsed, and this guy jumped into action, and I think he saved his life. I mean, we didn't get a follow up, but it was a poignant moment where he's the real deal. That guy's the real deal. He really does care about human beings. So I like working with those people.
No,
they're unique.
And it reflects when they come and see the state of the city. It's basically the same people, but it's the same, but not the same people.
That's correct.
So the State of the City is a great event, but it can't happen without the collaboration and support of great partners.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only do we have leaders from the federal, state, and county levels, we also have some of our local and regional partners that come out, water district, school board. The chamber actually runs the event. They do a phenomenal job of it every single year. That is one of the big things that they're responsible for every year. And as far as chambers go, I think we can all agree that the event that we put on rivals the events that are put on by other larger chambers in the region. So kudos to Kim Cousins, Matthew Dobler, who both run that, as well as the entire board. These guys are dedicated public servants and in their own right. So couldn't do it without them.
In closing, I'm excited to hear about the World Water Summit we're going to have here. And that's a big deal. Understand that when the world comes to visit you here at home,
right,
you're doing something right, Steve.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
So tell us, because I know that will be featured in the State of the City.
The two things that we've done where I've had more people, more leaders from other places come out to see how we're doing it than anything else was the Anchor, which deals with our homelessness, the housing stabilization that we're utilizing in coordination with SWAG and Code and our law enforcement agency. And we're doing something that a lot of people don't do. They think that they do it, that they're not doing it as consistently as we do it. And so they don't understand why we're having better success. The second thing is now this nanobubbler thing, because the nanobubbler is cutting edge technology. And I actually saw it at work 6 years ago, just before COVID hit. I was invited out by a resident, Jamie Schramm, who knew the inventor of the actual device that creates the nanobubblers. And this is before they had connected and they had patents, but they weren't connected to the big enough bucks to do it. But I saw them take a bucket of Lake Elsinore water and then inject it with the ozone treatment and the nanobubbler process. It turned into like a foam thing. And about 45 minutes later, that bucket went from green to clear, and it literally destroyed it. They were using ozone, not oxygen. We were using oxygen. The state agencies haven't allowed us to go ahead and do the ozone treatment yet, but we'll probably do some sort of kind of study tester area of the lake to go ahead and show that it's not damaging for the ecology. So we can actually and you can turn that up and turn that down. It's kind of an interesting thing. So to have people come from places like Africa, though, or from Canada, or from Minnesota, or from Oregon, they're coming out here to see what we're doing to our lake. That's testament that you've got to be going in the right direction. Right. And we have always been willing to go ahead and push the edge on those types of issues and take some chances.
From your first week, literally week or two, we had the ribbon cutting for the nanobubbler.
Right.
Moving forward under your mayorship, now we went from 1 to 3.
That's correct.
Not only from 1 to 3, but now we have a world summit that happening here. I mean, that's the highlight. I think one of the major highlights of this year's State of the City, which people on social media always want to know what's happening in the lake.
Right.
Why does it? Why is it getting better? Well, it's getting better because there's a plan.
Right.
And people don't understand that the plan is taking some time, but it's a trial and error, right? I mean, we've tried a few things,
right? But
we've I can say under your administration, we found that niche, because now, it's not a thing that we're going to say we're going to eradicate it like that, but it's helping right now.
It's been a passion project. This is the whole reason why I ran for election last time. When we hired Jason on, he asked us what our priorities were. And what are our top 3 priorities? And then mine were, and everybody else had said theirs. And I was like, lake. That's it. Because I know that if you list off 3 things, you end up getting the easiest thing solved first, and the secondary thing. The lake's hard. The lake's a really, really hard issue. And so we're colleagues were all on board. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? And thank God. thank God. We could have fought over it. We could have gone ahead and pushed back on it. Sometimes it's controversial to spend money when you don't know how it's going to go ahead and turn out. And making that front and center, at the beginning of the mayorship, I even joked online that this is either going to go ahead and make me, they're going to either make a statue out of me or they're going to go ahead and hang me out in the middle of the, they're going to hang me, one of the two, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be good or it's going to be really bad. It's not going to be anywhere in between. So, but I think it's important to take those risks, and that's part of why I think we're Dream Extreme.
Yeah, and so Steve, the State of the City is coming up. Tell us the date and where we're gonna be seeing this.
So it's gonna be October 17th. That's a Thursday. We're gonna be at Pins and Pockets again, going back to the main stage. We're working on stage configurations, and that's gonna be maybe the big surprise, that everybody's able to go ahead and see when how that's all set up. But it's going to be fun, a lot of fun. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it. It's and hopefully everybody's really proud at the end of it. They feel real good about the direction of the city when we're done.
We'll post a flyer on this podcast so you guys can get the information as well. And the TED Talk, we talk about the TED Talk, is going to be amazing. Now, you can also look at this, actually view it live on Facebook Live.
Right.
We'll be streaming that. And then
I feel the warmth of your sincerity when you watch it on Facebook Live.
The comments come in live. So, Steve, I appreciate your time. Thank you for always being so transparent when it comes down to addressing even the very hard questions. I mean, for you, and we say it, jokingly, there's no hard questions for you. It's just being transparent and educating the community about what they need to know. And precisely that. This is why Connect Ali is here, because you are going to find out not only the information you want to know about, but the information you need to know about. So thank you so very much for joining us, Steve. It's always a pleasure. And
thank you, Giovanni.
We will definitely come back and talk about the State of the City, because we can actually show those videos after we are done with them.
That's exactly right. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.